work.
Money.
Money.
I want money because
it's important.
If you didn't have money, you can't get clothes.
Housing.
it's really important.
It's just such a worrying thing to not have money.
If you have more money, you can buy more things and nicer things than the people with less money.
Food.
It gives you what you need and it gives you what you want.
Just to live, really.
Because you can buy stuff with it.
You'll be able to get some of the more luxury stuff like cheese.
Spend it to live a good life, really.
Most people argue about money as well. I think.
Get fancy cheese, blue cheese, stuff like that.
I want lots of money to support my family, my parents.
Many people see it as the only thing they need, but sometimes they need to think a bit more about what they've got.
Does that mean like you've got to set it out?
Don't spend it on all stupid.
You need to limit yourself.
It seems difficult.
You've got to manage your money using a budget.
It's really important because my parents had to manage their money and save up a lot to buy the house.
Don't just like blow it all.
I think everyone should know, have a tab on how their money's going in their bank account.
You can't just be stupid with it and spend it all. You've got to like keep it there and only use what you can use.
Don't waste your money, because then that money has to last.
The most expensive thing,
a house.
My house.
Probably a house.
It's going to cost a lot.
I think maybe a car, because in some cases cars are more expensive than houses.
like £5,000 something for a car or something.
Car would cost about £9,000.
I suppose if I was going to buy the most expensive thing, it would probably be my house.
Women.
I've bought £180 shoes before.
Expensive.
Can't think of anything.
A house.
Cost about 180,000.
House.
100 grand, 200, around that price.
Probably if I was to have children, they'd probably be the most expensive things.
Maybe when I get older, it might be a lot more, because there might be price differences and stuff, so it might be 500,000. That's a lot.
We need to work for a living.
You need to enjoy it.
Not at the moment because I've only just got my national insurance card the week before.
You need to work to provide for yourself, and if you've got a family.
Sometimes people work because they think it's fun.
You need to enjoy it.
Some people work because they need the money.
They can get money.
We all need to work because without work...
I think you'd get a bit bored if we didn't work.
Really the people who've worked hard in the beginning, who've got the best lives in the end, and who've got the best chances of getting the job and securing a good future.
Even a small qualification can help you get even the smallest of jobs. Self-employed.
Being self-employed.
When you're running a business by your own.
I think my dad is self-employed.
Is it where you work for yourself?
More money.
Get to go into work later.
Someone's not above you.
Your own boss.
Run your own business, yeah.
My dad is self-employed, he's a builder.
My uncle owns his own business as well. He makes batteries.
And employ people, but also employ yourself to do the work.
Driving lessons, they are the boss of themselves.
Like if you're a builder.
Builders.
In some ways it's easier and better.
You're in control of your work, which can be quite good because you know your limits.
It's you that's dealing with the payment and...
I think that's quite a good idea in a way, because
the money you earn goes to yourself.
The good thing about being self-employed is that
no one's actually telling you what to do.
They can do what they want when they want.
obviously you're in control.
Don't have to worry about being fired or nothing.
if you're self-employed, you're not going to really fire yourself.
When the customers don't pay up, she gets a bit annoyed.
The disadvantages are...
It might be a bit harder to earn quite a lot of money.
Not getting anybody telling you what to do.
You might want to have someone that can guide you in the right way, because you might not know what you're doing.
He works at home as well, so when he's not working, he's always working at home. He travels around the country and stuff like that as well.
It seems like more hard work and your own money and time spent in it, but...
You wouldn't really get a salary and it would just be up and down.
You have to pay other people to work for you as well, so.
If you're an employee, you could get fired.
But if you have your own businesses, the little ones get less noticed, and those are the ones that normally have to close down first.
If you're self-employed, you've got to constantly keep moving around, finding jobs.
But you shouldn't do it if you're not confident enough.
If I could, be my own boss, I would, but I don't know. There's some downsides and there's some upsides, so don't really know.
2,553 people are made redundant every day.
Redundancy.
Redundant, yeah, you get put out of like work.
I'd feel pretty angry. And
My dad was made redundant.
My nan got redundant.
Companies can't afford to have that many employees and they can't afford to pay them, so they have to cut down staff.
I think when you get made redundant, it's hard.
That person's going to be really down as well because he's just lost his job because he can't get any pay.
Redundancy is, you know, a bit unfair.
But I don't really know much about redundancy. I don't know anyone that's made redundant.
I noticed that he was very sad for a while.
And she was like really upset about it, and then in the end the old factory went down and it was really upsetting at the time.
And having food on the table, it can be taken away from people due to the fact that they don't have the money coming in. Like they're going to have less food and maybe not have a place to live.
I know that sometimes you get a payout if you're made redundant.
It'd make you feel quite worried because you haven't got like no money coming in.
There was actually a student in this school who was a very good friend of mine. He said his uncle committed suicide because of that, because he was being made redundant.
I think there's different types of credit.
I don't actually know.
no, I'm not too sure about that actually.
Credit cards like
Credit crunch is credit where you buy something and they basically give you the thing without paying for it up front.
Do you know, if you lend money off someone, you'll have to pay double back. That's what I've heard from banks and stuff like that.
it might just be, say, £1,000 of things, but you have to pay interest on that, so it'd be even more than that.
I think it's a good idea and a bad idea.
I think it's a bad idea because
It's not your own money.
I think it is good because then you can go shopping more.
I'm not really sure.
I suppose, well, credit cards are like borrowing money in a way.
You have to pay it later.
I think them a good idea. Like to spend on if you want to start a business and that.
I just don't think it's a good idea because if you don't have the funds to pay it back, then you're going to end in the deep end of trouble, really.
Where your house gets taken away.
That's like when
Take out a loan or something and
You never know if you're going to be able to pay it back or not.
You risk getting in debt.
We borrow money to buy a new house.
You'd always have it on your mind.
Yeah.
in debt, like
Where you borrow so much money and then you can't pay it back afterwards.
you're taking a risk, because if you can't get it back, you'll start to get in problems.
I would think that I'd want to try and get the debt out of the way, but it might be hard to get the money.
You can't exactly just whip the money out of your pocket.
I'd love to like keep myself above being in debt. I mean, whether it's by 1p or £1 million.
Most people don't actually consider how much money that they're spending and how much money they have.
Like something might come up where you won't be able to pay the money back, and then you get into like quite a bit of trouble.
Must feel bad.
If you've taken a lot of money out or borrowed a lot of money, then you're going to be really unstable financially if you can't pay it back.
He sort of bought a car, started buying stuff on credit, and he couldn't manage the payments. So he had to take out more loans to keep covering it.
And they don't want to be in debt, obviously, but the stress of them probably will like increase and they just feel
Intense depression.
But I can imagine it's really stressful
It's very worrying for them.
Frightened of what the future could bring.
because you're just trying to think of ways to pay back the money and think of ways how to get yourself out of the situation.
If like you don't earn that amount of money, then you're just going to get debts piling up. If you spend the money that you've got, then I suppose that's better, because then you know how much you're spending and you know that you're not going to have to pay anything back.
Spend your money wisely and think about your priorities, like what you really need and what you can save up later.
Profit is
The extra money you make.
I think profit is when
What you get from the things you sell.
The money you make.
After
You take away your £5,000 from the £1,000.
make extra money than you expect or something like that. Like, I don't really know.
after you pay everybody and after all the expenses.
Profit is the money that you make
No one to really explain that to me.
In a business, when you put money into it, you expect to get even more money out of it. So I think that's what a profit is.
Say you're expected to earn, for example, 50,000 and you earn 60 and you're making a £10,000 profit.
My friend's dad
I think a good business person is someone that
You'll have to be really confident.
is someone who doesn't let anything get in the way.
can cope in difficult situations. So like
Probably someone who's got leadership skills, teamwork.
Really organised and stuff, and
Sensible, but also you need to have good ideas.
Good communicator.
And you'll have to know your maths and stuff, because obviously you're going to be counting and all your profit and all your outcomes and outgoes and stuff like that.
Got good knowledge of the market he's in.
someone who doesn't really care about others that are below them because they really want to get ahead of themselves. They don't really care about anyone else.
Bill Gates, he's good. He made Microsoft. He's good. He's a good businessman.
There's a lot of things that could go wrong in a business.
bad management.
They don't calculate the profit and loss sometimes. They lose a lot of money.
It makes a loss.
When you run out of money and you've got no money to run your business anymore.
Borrowing too much money and not being able to pay it back.
Being in large debts or just...
Oh, what's the word? Bankrupt. Getting bankrupt.
My uncle worked for this business with building new Asdas and stuff like that, and they went bankrupt.
I think that when they've got some money, they make a business, they make it grow, and then they just haven't got any money to run it.
My uncle did lose a lot of money over it.
Discrimination.
Discrimination.
Don't think it's right.
I don't think anyone should ever be discriminated.
Discrimination.
Does it mean leaving someone out?
It's not fair, but obviously people do it, but it's never the right thing to do.
There's different discrimination.
Discriminate against different ethnic groups.
Well, it could be racial.
The main discrimination I've seen is, racial discrimination.
I think there's a lot of racism about.
It can really offend people.
They can feel proper alone.
But I suppose you can't help what your race is or your gender is.
My parents were born in a different country. They have a very, very different accent. And I noticed that they were getting discriminated because of that.
You think, oh, I'm not good enough to get the job because I'm black.
They'll be really, really sad, and then they'll be really, really down and just want to quit the job.
There might be discrimination.
The age.
Some people still do not want people that are older.
People with certain disabilities.
People that are different.
What sexuality you are, it can really offend people.
What I think employers should do is maybe, okay, look apart from the disability, what does he have that's, unique?
Sexism as well.
Women didn't used to get such a good pay as men, even if they did the same job.
Might be one woman and one man, and they'll give it to the man because he's a man and discriminate against the woman.
They think, men always work so much better than women. They should be sitting at home cooking, and I think some people are still like that.
I don't think it's ever fair for that to happen.
I didn't ask to be a girl. I didn't ask to be, this colour. I just ended up like it and I deal with it.
It's never right, discrimination.